This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Detroit is the greatest!
Straight up light you on fire for a Coney dog right now.
Darren McCarty comes back to Neiman in front of him. McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty scores! A magnificent goal! Darren McCarty!
Stafford takes, throws, end zone, Calvin, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
What is up, people? It's the Motor City Sports Rant on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I am Jason Jarvie. Follow me on Twitter at Jarvie the King. And with me, as always, running a fine job on our small little audio board, John, the Doc, the phone, Macaroon. What up, Moon? What
It's
up,
all
Leia?
good, brother. Best audio on demand in the city. You know it. Motor City Sports Rant drops every Tuesday. No second takes, no weather problems. We don't disappoint anybody. We don't draw fans in, make them wait, and then send them home disappointed. Hell no. What we do is
here.
we give the people what they want, per what Jalen Rose does as well. So what's going on, sir?
Oh, man, it's life is just busy.
Busy right now?
It's crazy. It's, I wasn't sure what was going to happen at the station, but I've definitely taken an uptick in the amount of work that I've been doing. So there's that. And then on top of that, I got the kid, and there's no real nice way to say it, but being a parent is hard.
My homeboy Jason up in here.
Yes.
So finally the bounce is showing you the respect that you have earned and that you deserve. Good.
Yeah,
Good for them.
They definitely finally see that I have some qualities that I can bring, and I help them out.
Tell me a little bit about the Big Boy Show, because I know I'm an early bird. I do get up, but I haven't had a chance yet to check it out. Outside of the intro video that I've seen his transformation. Wow, just huge props for that. Dropping well over 250 pounds, I believe, from his last go-around in Detroit. Set the scene a little bit. Tell me what the show's about.
Yeah, so he came. He's gone everywhere pretty much. I think he went to New York City after he left here back in like 2009, I believe. And he went to New York and Philly and Portland, and now finally he came back here. So it's your standard morning show, but it's kind of trying to break the kind of the trend, because you have the Mojo in the mornings, which they have their bits, and with Big Boy in the morning, it's really just trying to come out, have a conversation, and just engage listeners.
Now, from the Facebook videos, am I seeing it correctly? Did the studio change a little bit more traditional, where there's glass and the studio hosts have a little bit of a bigger panel? Because when you were at the sports side of it, I remember you used to be right there on top of the host, but from the Facebook videos, I think I see glass, and I think I've seen you behind it. Is that right, or am I wrong?
It is a little bit. I mean, the studio hasn't really changed. The kind of everything that's solid there, nothing's really changed. But at the old station, all the producer, all the show hosts, they're all in one room, and the producer usually just sat at the board, but Big Boy runs his own board, so he's running there, and then I produce as well. There's the other guy, Rick, who goes by Producer Weird Beard. He sits where they run all the Pistons shows, it's what a traditional radio producer suite looks like. You got the glass that you're able to look through and talk between there. And then I also have my own room, which I get to do all my stuff.
Good stuff, and they're giving you more hours, and like I said, the station's doing well. All credit to you. Like I said, Going to Specs Howard did you well. You're podcasting, you're working at the station, you're working at a top 10 Detroit radio station, playing hip-hop, and like I said, the good thing is you bring some of your knowledge to the podcast, man, playing some Drake, playing some hip-hop, playing some hip-hop beats here, so it's all good.
I'm very fortunate that coming out of Specs that I was actually able to get a job in a major market where I actually lived. I didn't have to go for like 2-3 years to Adrian or Saginaw and toil away there. That I got my break, and I've definitely put in my time, so it definitely feels nice.
Any opening day festivities with the station that you got going on, or what are you doing for opening day for the Detroit Tigers?
Yeah, the Big Boy in the Morning show is going to be down at the Town Pump and I think that's right in the Foxtown area. It's right, I think it's off of Woodward, and they're going to be doing their show. And then I think Sugar Ray, his bounce house, is going to be at the Buffalo Wild Wings down there.
You know what? The reason why I ask is because every year, usually I try to mix in a little bit of time in the middle of the day, maybe take an extra hour for lunch, maybe a couple hours and watch the game. I had gone down for a couple years to watch, opening day. Haven't been to the actual game in quite a bit of time. But this year, my wife had mentioned in a couple times when I've went, she's like, I've never gone and seen what it's like. And she's heard, from me, from Adam, from a lot of different people that it's a festive thing. And so I think what I'm going to do is, and I'm going to, maybe talk to you a little bit about it, is I think I want to go down there and take her. I think it's a good thing to do. I've been down there quite a bit of times, and I kind of know the landscape. I know my way around. I have a couple friends that are going to be DJing in the area. So I might just do a couple different things where I'm going to hop around maybe the Midtown area, maybe stop in and peek where you're at. But part of me is also, and she said it too, we're looking, as everybody does, we're looking at the weather. And we're seeing, what's it going to be like down there? And, of course, just our luck, right? The weather for the weekend looks gorgeous. But what does the weather look like for this Friday for the Tigers home opener at Comerica Park? 40 degrees and windy. Are you serious right now?
Yeah, currently my trusty iPhone weather app is showing 47 and windy, the low of 30, which it could get rough out there if there's no sun there. And then absolutely the next day, 57, Sunday, 67. Monday, 71.
And for me, being a guy that doesn't like to take a whole heck of a lot of money out of my pocket, the thing that I always do is usually if I want to go to my first games, I usually go that Saturday or that Sunday because the price is almost 75% less than opening day. And we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But am I being a pansy if I just say, you know what, it's too cold? Just go to the local Art and Jake's, go to the local BW3s, spend an afternoon, have a couple cocktails, and get in and out of the operation with under $20.
Some people might call you a pansy, but that's not me. I'm a guy. I like to be comfortable. There are people who they are strict. They go to bars, they watch games there, and it's an experience that they like. I don't get it. I personally, being around gigantic crowds, they're usually very, very annoying. So we like to hang out at home. We like to pick up some food. Maybe if you want to go get the ballpark experience, you can go and pick up some hot dogs or some brats from the grocery store. Get a pack of beer, get some summer shandy, Leinenkugels, and you're good to go.
See, here's the thing, though. People watching is amazing. And from the times that I've gone down there, the game is really the backdrop. People go down there because it's a Friday, and they're going to be off on Saturday, and they go down there with the notion they're going to have cocktails with their friends. Usually most people go in a group of 2 to 4, and you go down, you bar hop, you go check out the festivities, you see which radio stations are doing what, maybe try to win some free stuff, and it's a big block party. It's basically Detroit's opening for the spring. It's a big block party, and most people don't go down there really focused on, what's going to happen and what Brad Osmond's decisions are in the 7th inning. They go down there and they want to have cocktails with their friends. They want to throw down. They want to have an opportunity to have a good time, maybe drink a little bit to excess and have a party-like atmosphere downtown. And I've experienced it. It's a wild party. There's music, there's tents, there's good food. A lot of companies go down there and advertise and do their thing and showcase what they're all about. So I've had a great time going. But the part that stinks is right around the time of 3 to 5, you're going to have a boatload of drunk people. And it's like to see. I had a good time with it. But part of me now, in my mid-30s goes, I'm not up for the partying. I'm just a little tired. I'm taking the day off. And part of me would think, you know what? If we just go to a local place, I would also have the opportunity to just not spend so much money, not drive through the traffic, not have to deal with people that are drinking and anything like that. But, the missus has never done it. So I kind of want to show her around and show her a good time. So that's the part of it. But my initial thought is I'm not really down for it.
I get it if it is a first time experience like what it would be for your wife. And going in that it's gonna be a shit show downtown. Yeah. So going in, and as long as she's good with it, then I'd say do it. But if you don't want to deal with all the hassle and you don't want to shell out all that cash, it's perfectly normal just to stay home or to. I mean, you can get those same kinds of experiences just go to Royal Oak or go to like Birmingham. There's probably some bar there that you can go to, and it'll be jumping there. They'll have opening day festivities there as well.
Yeah, see, the missus wants to be part of it, and I would say, I think you've told me you really haven't taken the missus down and had the opening day festivities.
I haven't had the
What's wrong with you? Are you going to invite her this Friday?
What? I'm at the station all day long. I'm literally going to be there.
You're working
from probably 5 a.m. and then I'm running the board for the morning show, and then I'm going to be running the board for Sugar Ray's show, and then I get a little break, and then I'm coming back and I'm running the board for the Pistons that night. So I'm going to be at the station all night. I'm going to be dead. So, it is something that I'd like to do at some point.
You've never gone down and experienced it non-working.
I haven't. There was a good period of time where I worked downtown. It was more of a hassle for me because then I had to deal with all the people when I wanted to go home. So it's not something that I've done. It is something I would like to do, but it's not high on my list right now. Obviously, I have one gigantic thing at home right now who's probably crying in my wife's arms that takes up the majority of my time and focus. So maybe in like 5, 6, 7 years, maybe even when my son, when he comes of age, maybe we can have a father-son moment where we both experience opening day together. And actually, as I say that, I think that's what I'm going to do.
I understand completely, Jason. I understand.
And then I can also, it'll be the first time I'll have to explain to him what drunk people are and, what donkey punches are.
What's a donkey punch?
You don't know what a donkey punch is?
I don't. Right now, this early morning, no, I don't. What the hell is a donkey punch?
I'll explain it to you off air. It's something. If Vinny Stubbs was still on the show, we would definitely go into like a 10-minute conversation about it. I'll explain to you a little bit later. My mom, she listens to the podcast, and that's not something that I really want to discuss right now.
Oh, thank her for listening. That's awesome. I'm glad, because I wonder sometimes when I tag everybody in the post, do they get annoyed with me? I tag you in all the ones that you're in, and no, that's good stuff. Thank you, Mrs. Jarvie. I appreciate it very, very much. That's awesome. Jason's doing a great job. We're lucky to have him. So things are going well with the family. You're going to be doing the work thing on Friday, but I probably will stop by, and again, I'll tell everybody where you're at.
The Town Pump.
Okay.
Pub, I think it's something like that.
The Town Pump.
Town Pump. Yep. I want to say it's on Montcalm, just down from like the hockey town. So
right. Besides, I know the technical stuff that you're going to do. Any opportunity for you to grab a mic with the bounce, mic flag, and go talk to the people, get some audio, go do some things, do some interacting, or do you guys have a 105.1 street team going on?
That's definitely what we have the street team for. And if they're doing their job correctly, that's what they should be doing, is talking to people, getting some sounders, so our great production guy back at the studio can turn it around and have all the stuff with people saying, "Oh, I love 105.1 The Bounce. I don't change it ever."
Exactly, and that's why I got the mic flags here. I think that's what I'm going to do. Is take the mics, go out in there, and maybe play some games, and just go talk to people and say what it's like, or maybe just once things get loose, just see what people say. If you stick a mic in their face and see what they'll do.
These are that's a good idea. You could probably get some pretty crazy sounders of people just going off on, "Dude, Brad Osmus, he's horrible. He needs to be fired today."
The news of the day, and everyone's talking about Tony Romo retiring from the Cowboys. And I just threw out there on Twitter, because I love our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. It's just an outlet for us to just ask questions. And I said, what Detroit athlete would you wish would retire and go on to another job? And literally we got 36 messages back. Does Brad Assmunch count? Does Brad Osmus count? I'd like Brad Osmus. A couple Victor Martinez sprinkled in, but the majority of people right now are in their mindset that Brad Osmus is the guy they don't want in town. And we'll start with that. Later on today, the Tigers are going to play the White Sox in a series I believe they could win 2 out of 3 games. In terms of, when you look at who's going to start in terms of the pitchers, you have an opportunity to do some things. I think it's going to go down with the 3 pitchers are going to be Justin Verlander, Jordan Zimmerman, and Daniel Norris, I believe. And I think that with that, you should be able to win 2 of 3 games. But right now, a lot of people are really down on Al Avila. They're down on Brad Osmus. They're down on the organization. And right now, the majority of the experts have the Tigers around 80 to 85 wins. And that's kind of how I see it. I see them right at 85 and 77, short of the wild card, just an up and down year, and just a year where they're going to play it out, trying their absolute best to get to the postseason and hold off a fire sale. But I don't see too much success with this team.
Yeah, they didn't really change a whole lot in the offseason. And last season, I preached to you every single week that this team is going to be a roller coaster, and it's going to be up and down. There's going to have stretches of time where they look just absolutely amazing. There's going to be times where they look absolutely awful, and you're probably going to get a lot of that this year, which I think if you are around the 80 to anywhere between 80 to 87 wins, I think you're going to be in the conversation for getting that wild card. Now, obviously, it can swing both ways. If you have a bunch of injuries and everything just collapses, Nick Castellanos doesn't do anything, Justin Upton doesn't do anything, JD Martinez, his injuries, it's worse than it seems. Jordan Zimmerman can't come back from his injury that he had last year. Then we could be a lot worse than we actually think they are going to be right now. I think a 500 ball club, that's what you're shooting for right now. And I think there is the great possibility that you could be better than that, because just as many times, just as many ways that you can predict doom and gloom for this team, there are so many ways that you can predict that this team could really be in it and be, actually competing for the AL Central this year.
Exactly. I'm sensing an uptick, and people are saying that if the Tigers are healthy, they have an opportunity with the second highest, payroll in Major League Baseball to have some success.
I don't know. I think you can expect that, but I think that's more. It should be with the second highest payroll that they should be better, but they aren't.
A couple positive storylines that we can look to is Michael Fulmer is on the verge maybe of superstardom. If he comes out there, and I'm really surprised that the over/under on his win total is around 11.5. And I look at that and I go, wow, I think he's going to have an opportunity to maybe get around 14 to 16 wins, and he can showcase his talents and what he can do for this team. I look at Michael Fulmer as a budding superstar, a pitcher that when he goes out there Friday versus Boston, I really want to see what he's going to be able to do. Can he shut down that lineup? Because I think the sexy pick right now is to pick Boston to get out of the American League and have a strong chance to compete for the World Series. And if it's Boston versus Cleveland in the AL for the AL pennant, that would be some series to watch. But Michael Fulmer's one. Another player that I view as a potential guy that could go out there and continue some success is now the newly named Nicholas Castellanos at third base. I really believe that a guy with that caliber of potential can go out there and have a season where he can go maybe and elevate himself to get 25, 30 home runs, knock in a bunch of RBIs, and be a solid leader, and maybe pick up for the slack left by McCann and Iglesias at the bottom of that lineup. And I like the fact I think they're showcasing him at second. That really is a sign that they're showing him a great amount of respect. And we'll talk about the opening day lineup. I'm really okay with it for the first go-round, where you have Victor Martinez. No, I'm mistaken. The first game, you're going to have Victor Martinez, Tyler Collins at 2. Ooh, I have that wrong.
Yeah, you got the Victor Martinez is never leading off.
No, I looked at the wrong article that I posted. You believe that?
Damn it, John.
That's okay. Opening day lineup. Here's
messing
up
the flow.
No, it's okay. Kinsler at second base, and I was correct. Castellanos at third base is going to bat second, with Cabrera and Martinez at DH. So the first four batters have an opportunity to do some things and do some damage, and they are showing Nick Castellanos a great deal of respect, putting him second in the lineup. That's usually reserved for your best offensive threat.
And it's the guy that you want to get the most touches to outside of your leadoff, hitter. He's the guy who you're expecting to just to carry the offense along. Who's batting fifth? Is it Justin Upton?
1, 2, 3, 4. Justin Upton. Martinez and
so
Upton.
You got your big bats 3, 4, 5.
6 through 9 is pretty bad. Matuk, McCann, Jones, and Iglesias.
So yeah, at that point you're just hoping to get, you're not just striking out every go around there. So Castellanos, I think, is going to be kind of that linchpin. Last year we saw Cameron Maybin. He was able to do some stuff when he was batting second. And Nick Castellanos is a guy who's shown he's definitely improved every single year that he's been. He got up his batting average to close to 300. He was at 285 by the end of it. His RBIs went down, but his power did go up. He had a few more home runs than the season before. But I think this is really going to be the season that kind of defines what he's going to be for the long haul on this Detroit Tigers. Is he going to be a Brandon Inge, a guy who just kind of hangs around and he's your Tiger? He's going to be a fan favorite, but he's never ever really going to carry a team. or could he be somebody like an Evan Longoria on the Tampa Bay Rays, a guy who he's their franchise player, and we know what Nick Castellanos is defensively. He's not the best defensively, but I think we know that what he's going to do on offense is what's going to define what kind of player he is.
Any other positive storylines that you're looking to, another player that you go maybe could cause a resurgence? I know many people are saying Justin Upton cannot start the same way that he did in 2016. They think that with what he showed in the spring, he can come out and maybe be a really solid weapon there, batting fifth and launch some home runs and be the guy that can earn maybe a longer-term deal. But he's making a ton of money this year.
I think the storylines you can look at, I think one would be Jacoby Jones. He had a pretty decent spring, and I'm just going to be interested to see what he can do. He's a young player, and if he can actually develop into a talent on this team, then this is, what did we get Jacoby Jones? Was that one of the Dombrowski moves that we got him from?
I feel like he came through the organization. I'll look it up, but I feel like he was drafted.
I thought we might have traded him for, what do you call it? When we traded away our reliever. I want to say he came from the Pirates. I could be wrong. I think Jacoby Jones is one to look at, but then you look at the pitching, and the pitching is really, as much as I say that the offense goes dead for games, the pitching is really going to be because if the offense isn't there, the pitching is going to have to carry this team.
You're absolutely right. He came in for the Soria deal from Pittsburgh.
I see. My memory isn't. I haven't lost it all. My kid hasn't sucked out my entire brain yet.
Good job.
I think the bottom end of the rotation you can look at. I think Matthew Boyd. What Matthew Boyd and Daniel Norris can do is definitely gonna be the difference between winning 80 games and winning, 89 to 90 games, whether you're struggling to get into the wild card or if you're actually going to be competing for the AL Central. So if Matthew Boyd can kind of continue what he was doing at the end of last year, and if Daniel Norris can just continue to get better, what do you think? What would you average their win totals at? I think probably people would look 8-9 wins from those guys.
100%. I can agree with that.
So if they can at least get you like 10, 11 wins, I think and also then give you quality starts after that, I think that's going to be a big storyline to watch throughout the season. And lastly, I hate to talk about him because he's been such a gas can these past couple of years. Anibal Sanchez. I mean, he looked awful in the beginning of spring training, and I was ready to just be like, why is he even on the team? And then
$16.8 million. But don't you give the Tigers credit? They ate $13.5 million in deals, letting go of Lowe and Pelfrey. They did the right thing. I believe they have their best 25-man roster. They let go of the crumb bums. Unfortunately, it is a very bad indication and indictment on Al Avila to give out those contracts. Those contracts are probably, and they're talked about right now, as two of the worst contracts that they're on par with Ben Gordon and Charlie Villanueva with the Pistons. They're on par with some of the worst deals given out in Detroit. And you just gave two players $13.5 million not to play for your organization. But in essence, they were garbage. They were guys that if they made the roster, many fans would just say, we're out.
They were absolutely garbage. I would rather have anything that's in the minor leagues over those guys. But Anibal Sanchez is going to be the biggest.
You're not going to give him any chance, any second chance at all with his new arm delivery and what he was able to do the second half of spring training? Nothing?
I got to see it before I believe it. I will not get on the Anibal Sanchez train because I feel like I've been on that train the past couple of years. I feel like we've been in this situation the past couple of years on this podcast where I go, Anibal Sanchez still has it. And if he can get you, 10, 12 wins, you're looking good. And Anibal Sanchez always just kicks me right in the testicles.
Listen, there is an opportunity for him, if he's using the bullpen correctly, to go alongside Rondon, Shane Green, Francisco Rodriguez. There's an opportunity to do some good to do some things and get some outs.
Doesn't that then come down to Brad Ausmus and how he uses Anibal Sanchez? Is he going to use
How should he be effectively used?
He should be no more than 2 innings. And I know that they're going to look at him as like a long relief guy to go probably 3-4 innings, I'd assume. The guy shouldn't be used more than 2 innings. I honestly don't think he should go through the batting order more than once. He needs to get in there, do his job, and then get out. And I think that's the most effective way you can use Anuel Sanchez, because as soon as they go through the batting order, it just seems like something clicks in the other team's roster, and they're able to just unload on him.
Now, this season, many people are going to be watching start to finish what this Tigers team is going to do, because, in essence, if they don't perform well, this could be the last go-round with this set of players, right? Now, many people will say, hey, you need to take it easy. You need to really, hold your horses and really wait to the 30-game mark to see what the Tigers are able to do. And you need to hold off judgment and really wait and see that it is a long season. That's what people will say. They'll preach patience with this team, right? But for me, I'm a guy that says I'm not patient. I want to see them destroy the White Sox. I want to see them go out there and play Boston well this first week. So that's my early expectations. And obviously, throughout the course of this podcast, you would have seen and heard that we've said that, you don't really hire a guy like Brad Ausmus at the time when you have a payroll over $200 million. So I was at the point in saying over and over, this is a ball club that needed to sell. But if they come out and they start out maybe 10-5 or 10-2, or they win a bunch of games early on, does that give you renewed hope? Does that get you excited? Because it's an organization right now that many people are skeptical, including myself, but there is an opportunity. It's not all hope. It's not all hopeless that this team is going to go out there and tank and lose a lot of games because of the bullpen and the weaknesses on the squad.
I mean, it would probably be sexy to come out here every week, and if they're on a roll and they do come out with a fast start, to be just completely excited and be on the Tiger train, and they're going to win the AL Central and they're going to go to the AL Championship and they're going to go win the World Series. It's all for Mr. I, but I'm not going to do that. I told you last season, and I'm going to be on my own train this year. That's going to be a roll. And it's not a train; it's a roller coaster. This Tiger team is going to disappoint you at times. They're gonna be captivating at times. But it is a long season, 162 games. It's entirely too long of a season. Baseball, you don't need more than 80 games. You're probably looking at 85 and however many losses that gives you. And I think you're going to squeak into the AL wild card.
AL wild card? Oh, look at you. Giving out the playoff love, huh? My goodness. I don't see that, though. I see the scenario being 90 wins max, but I could see improvement if they add pieces. They have to add one more. They have to add another bullpen piece. I mean, everyone is looking at that bullpen and going, "This is the worst thing ever." They haven't improved it. That you're hoping for a lot of improvement from Shane Green, Rondon, and Francisco Rodriguez a year older. So I don't know if a lot of people...
I sound like the doom and gloom guy. You're the guy who's like, "Oh, you sound like when you talk that this team has a lot of hope," but then you say, "Oh, they're going to miss the playoffs." But I'm the guy who's like, "Oh, it's going to be a roller coaster. They're still going to get in the playoffs," just because. They have the talent. A team with Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, whenever JD Martinez gets healthy, Justin Verlander, Michael Fulmer. There's too many good players. I think if you want one more player to look at and how his season will affect this team would be Ian Kinsler. Last year, I think he was absolutely going bananas. I think he was playing out of his mind. And if Ian Kinsler kind of drops off a little bit, maybe he comes back to earth, that's definitely going to hurt this. That's going to hurt this team, because right there, that's your leadoff hitter, and you're expecting him to come out and produce. So,
all right, lay it on me. Officially, your prediction is how many wins, and where do they go with this season?
I just said 85. I'm going to bump that up to 86 wins. I'm going to go with an AL. They'll make the AL wild card, and I want to say that they're going to win the wild card. And depending on who they play in the first round, if they do have to take on a Boston, I'd say that they probably would get defeated there. But anybody else, I'd take the Tigers.
Okay, a lot of hope. A lot of hope from Jason, like always.
You want a team that I will never give credit to? It's the Cleveland Indians. The Cleveland Indians can go S&D, and they're S&D. They're never going to win a championship.
Mike,
calling it right now.
You're calling it right now?
Never going to win a championship.
Who do you like in the World Series? Who are your early World Series favorites right now? Boston, Cleveland. A lot of people are going with the Giants, maybe the Dodgers.
I think it's probably. Boston's definitely has a great shot. And as much as I don't like them, Cleveland will be up there. I I really like Toronto's story. I'd like to see them make a run. And on the other side, it's going to be hard for the Cubs not to repeat. I think they still have a good roster on their team. But then you also can't discount the Giants. And I think one of the reasons why the Cubs had such a good season last year is that the St. Louis Cardinals really didn't do very well. So I think if the Cardinals can have a bounce back year, they could be in contention as well.
Okay, Jason, good stuff. The Tigers are going to play the White Sox later on. Obviously, the first day was a debacle. It was rained out. They had to do their absolute best to try and get the game in, but they delayed it a couple hours and then let the fans know that the game was canceled. I want to see what Justin Verlander is going to do his first start because he's notorious for starting the year off slow. But this is a year you can't. You got to go out there game 1, 2 o'clock, and handle your business. And that's what just has to happen. Justin Verlander cannot go out there and wait 5 to 6 starts before he revs up. Otherwise, the Tigers are going to struggle.
What do you got as a stat line for Justin Verlander, game 1?
6 innings, 5 strikeouts, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, and a no decision.
I'm going to go 7 1/3. He'll have 5 hits, 2 runs, and he's going to get the win with
Woohoo!
7 strikeouts.
Okay, we'll do a quick tweet and see what people will think. What do you think the overwhelming reply will be, that he gets the win or the loss early on?
I think people will say he gets the win.
All right, let's take a quick timeout.
The faith is back for Justin Verlander.
Let's take a quick timeout, come back, and second half of the podcast, talk a little bit about the Red Wings. It's been official, obviously. They're not going to make the postseason, but a lot of things are happening with this Red Wing team, and I want to get your opinion on it because it is the last week for the Joe Louis Arena. I want to see if you're going to try to finagle your way in there and buy a $200 ticket to get yourself in. I want to know your thoughts on the closing of the Red Wing season coming up next on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Doc here for the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. In order for us to keep the studio lights on, the microphones hot, we appreciate your overwhelming support. And the easy and free way to support the network is go to our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. We live stream all our podcasts. You can go check out all the great work from Vito, Adam, Jerry Mallory, Jason Jarvie, myself, the Doc. We put out daily audio and sports content on our website, and we greatly appreciate all the support. We can't keep doing this. We've been going strong since 2013, and great things are happening for the network, and we couldn't continue to do it without your great support. So all we ask, you like what you're listening to, tell 1 or 2 other people, hey, subscribe on iTunes, check out what these guys are doing over there at the Detroit Sports Podcast. Great guests, great sports content, and the number one thing that I love, completely uncensored. Jason and all the other hosts are free to say whatever they want right from their brains, and that's why we love this project, is that we are completely 100% independent. We are not answering to absolutely nobody but ourselves, and it makes it very fun to do the project, and we can continue to do it with your great support. DetroitSportsPodcast.com.
I know way too many people here right now that I didn't know last year. Who the f*** are y'all? I swear it feels like the last few nights. We've been everywhere and back, but
Motor City Sports Rant, Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Gonna talk to some Red Wings in just a second.
I like this. This is Drake. Over. Nice.
It is Drake. It's a song whenever it comes on the station. I'm always like, I know way too many people here right now that I didn't know last year. I don't know. It's just something about that. It's a smooth beat. I don't like Drake all the time, but it's a decent song.
So far, a couple of people have already chimed in. They got 7 innings, 2 hits, 9 Ks, W, no runs given up. And another, obviously with the wide range of opinions, JV will be out early. 4 innings, 4 runs. Too hard for a pitcher to get up and then have it pushed back, to another day at the last minute. So, right now a lot of people are getting in both ways. They think that JV will be successful or they think he's going to get bombed. So
at least he had some reasoning behind it. And he wasn't just like, JV's going to suck.
No, we have some great fans.
We have some smart fans.
We got some smart fans that follow us among the masses that do follow Detroit Podcasts and definitely follow us. We're, when you look at it, I do believe we're one of the most interactive pages. It's really cool. I'm a guy that when you message someone and they like your stuff, that means they read it. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And I can honestly claim that any tweet that comes to me is at least acknowledged with a response or a like or a retweet. And I think that's what's made us grow, is that we're not just, guys sitting in a studio. We're out there. We show our faces for the most part. and we're out there interacting. I think that's what makes it fun, is that throughout the course of 162 games for the Tigers, 82 games for the Red Wings, we're there chiming in and giving our uncensored opinions, not bought and paid for, which I absolutely love. And now when I look at it, though, when we talk about the Red Wings, I've kind of come down the stretch kind of really conflicted in that I've followed the Red Wings all season, and you kind of realized it was a slow burn to disaster when early on in the season Ken Holland came out and said, "What? Stanley Cup? If you're thinking that this team is, competing for a Stanley Cup, you better change your thinking real fast." And ever since then, the kind of the black cloud over the organization has been there, and it's just been a terrible season all the way around in terms of not getting enough points, not playing well for any meaningful stretch. And then look at how the season ends for Anthony Mantha. He goes out with a fight.
Fight breaks his finger.
And I know that young guys, and something that Paul Wood said on a broadcast on the ticket really resonated with me, and I'm kind of the guy that, kind of thinks about Paul Woods in a different kind of light, but I really respect what he does, but, obviously he's a paid employee of the Red Wings, but he said something when talking about Anthony Mantha that resonated with me, and I agree with 100%. He's like, listen, Fox Sports Detroit is airing nonstop Darren McCarty's fight with Claude Lemieux. And these young cats see that over and over and over again. They have to stop seeing that and going, that's what the game is about. It's a new era. And he kind of really said that a guy like Anthony Mantha needs to remove himself from the Darren McCarty class and start putting himself in the Steve Yzerman class, in the Austin Matthews class. And he's like, you know what? When is Sidney Crosby suspended for fighting, or when is he out with injury for fighting? He said that Anthony Mantha in the future is going to be called upon to score 35 and 40 goals. He cannot be the goon of the team, and he understands why he did it. He wants to stand up for the likes of Zetterberg and the likes of the other guys on the team, but it can't be Anthony Mantha. It can't be him. He has to learn from this, and it's valuable opportunity wasted for a guy that was emerging. And you've seen that he was punished by Blashill a lot this year for his defensive lapses. But the one thing that I hope he learns in the offseason is you are not the goon of the team. You're not the guy. You're the goal scorer. You're the emerging star. And I know you want to protect Larkin. You want to protect the boys. And you want to you want to utilize your size. But you cannot hurt your team by throwing a punch and hurting your scoring hand and being out for the rest of the season.
He's got to clearly know that he's not Darren McCarty. I know Darren McCarty was actually good in the juniors, but Anthony Mantha, he is brought in to be the goal scorer. He's the future of this team, and he needs to learn not to tuck his thumb under his fingers when he throws a punch. But that's a joke aside. The guy needs to be smarter, and we don't have anybody else on our team who can do that kind of stuff. Or the guys who probably should be doing it aren't doing it. The guys who I see as being those scrappy guys are the Luke Glendennings, the Justin Abdicators. Those are the guys who are supposed to go out there and be your enforcers, but I think they see themselves more as a Gustav Nyquist or a Thomas Tatar. Those guys, that's not their roles. Those guys should be the grind line. That was one of the big things that worked for the old Red Wings team that really started this streak is that we had a grind line. Darren McCarty, Kirk Maltby, Chris Draper, they knew exactly what their role was. They went out, they did it, they grinded, and they were a physical presence that teams had to look out for, and we just don't have that on our team.
What's your reaction to kind of the Wings play as of late? They've earned some points. They're not giving up, but I look at it as, unfortunately, it's a team that needs to earn a lot of draft picks probably for a couple years to try and rebuild. You have a nice core, I believe, with Larkin, with Athanasiou, with Anthony Mantha, and you got these young cats coming in, getting some playing time, getting some ice time. I like the future, but many people are skeptical regarding, is Kenny Holland the guy to actually pick the right players given his recent track record? But I look at it and I say, year to year, you want to be playing at least your best, and you don't want to go out there and put on a terrible show night in, night out for your fans. But the Red Wings really are in a tough spot because they need to rebuild and they need to get some talent quickly. Otherwise, we're going to see 2, 3, 4 seasons without postseason success. But the end of the year, I like their fight. But at the end of the year, you and I probably and many others will really decide the fate and what we really think of Jeff Blashill. But his biggest indictment for me is a lot of these players aren't getting better. It looks like from when, from seasons past, these guys are not playing well as compared to when Mike Babcock was here. It looks like a lot of guys, not just one, but the Helms, the Abdulkaders, guys you've given big money to, are not producing consistently enough to justify their contracts.
And that was one of the reasons why Blashill was the obvious choice to bring him in, because Babcock was the coach that nobody wanted to play for, and Blashill was this guy in Grand Rapids that he knows all the players, and then he's going to be able to come in and he's going to be able to coach the way that these guys should be playing. But it just hasn't worked out. Blashill maybe, I think he's better served as a minor league coach to really show the players how they need to play and how they should be acting in, once they actually get up to the big leagues. He might not be able to handle it in the big league.
Many people are reading and trying to read between the lines when Ken Holland addresses the media and addresses the fans. And when people read what he's saying, it just seems like they're not committed to a rebuild. He's still waffling back and forth, talking like, listen, we're kind of still going to try to compete, but add new pieces. And many people are looking and saying, no, commit to a rebuild. You've ended the streak. The team is poor. The makeup of the team and the contracts you've given out don't lead many people to have confidence. Commit to a rebuild, and once you commit to that rebuild, then you let people know, okay, we're going to try to have another season where we don't make the postseason. And I look at it and I go, wow, you missed the boat on a talented player like an Austin Matthews by getting to the first round the last 4 or 5 years and trying to continue this streak when you could have ended it 4 years ago and committed then, where now going into a new arena, you knew you were scheduling and planning for a new arena. Look at what Austin Matthews is a Wings killer. The Toronto Maple Leafs this season played the Wings 4 times. You know how many wins the Wings got? Big fat goose egg. 0 wins. And Austin Matthews is scoring a goal a night versus the Wings. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow. Who was the team that officially eliminated the Red Wings? The Maple Leafs. That was a night on it.
I would have said that the Red Wings eliminated themselves.
No, the Maple Leafs, won a game that officially eliminated the Detroit Red Wings last Tuesday. But look what Mike Babcock now has. A superstar. They're above 500. They dominated you 4 games. The last game was exciting. A lot of goals were scored, but the Wings didn't have an opportunity to win the game. You didn't win a single game versus your rival. And I don't like going to the home ice arena at Joe Louis Arena and hearing "Let's Go Maple Leafs" just as loud as "Let's Go Wings." And it's a big indictment on Ken Holland, knowing that you had an opportunity to rebuild this team and you did not take advantage of it.
Yeah, the way the NHL is now in the salary cap era, there's no big trades. We were able to go out and trade for those really big name players, bringing in guys like Brendan Shanahan. And
salary cap era, that's not happening. You're going to have to build through the draft.
You have to build through the draft, and you see even if you do pick up some key free agents, you have to be an enticing place. And I think that's something that we've dealt with the past couple of years, is that we think that we're a destination for free agents, but free agents they always seem to pass and they go to a different team. When we missed out on the Zach Parise and Ryan Suter, I think all hope is essentially lost at that point, that we're not a destination anymore. And when Pavel Datsyuk retired last year, or whatever you want to call what he did, he's not in the Red Wings anymore. That was really the last straw. I think when you still had that core of Datsyuk and Zetterberg, that it was still kind of holding out hope that maybe the old guys can win us one more series. But with him gone, Zetterberg is, even though he has had a decent season, he really is a shell of himself. And Datsyuk really was. He was the Flash. He was the guy who scored the goals. And we should be embracing rebuilding. And I think we have some really promising players. You already mentioned Athanasiou, Larkin, Mantha. I think we've even,
just a start.
Just even seen some guys that have come up now. Thomas Nosek, that we're actually seeing bigger players, that we don't have the same type of players of. I keep going back to them, but Nyquist and Tatar, we have so many small, fast, skilled players, and to see guys who are actually bigger and can actually maybe throw their weight around a little bit, guys like Thomas Nosek, Svechnikov, who just came up.
Svechnikov. I was going to ask you. I cannot.
Evgeny Svechnikov.
I cannot say that dude's name. And then, I was trying to go, who's in the shootout win versus Ottawa. I'm like, how do you say this guy's name? But fresh faced 20-year-old. Looks like he's got a little talent.
Yeah, and he should be competing next season for a spot on this roster. I mean, unfortunately, he probably won't, unless there's some changes in this organization. On the defensive side, I think Nick Jensen has been he's been a breath of fresh air. You know, I think it kind of reminds me of when Brian Lashoff came up a couple years ago, that he was a young kid who was actually able to do some things. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do in future years. But teams like the Chicago Blackhawks, where they built through the draft, they got Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews, and now they are a destination. The Pittsburgh Penguins, they have Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, and now the players want to go there. Teams like Boston, and I think the Toronto is probably going to be one of those teams where they see that they have guys like Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and even Nazem Kadri. I think all those guys are really, they're still young, and the free agents that are out there are going to see that, you know, if we go to Toronto and you could be the piece that actually wins them a championship, I think they're going to see that rather than going to Detroit and trying to rebuild everything.
How would you summarize this season for the Red Wings? What, one or two words, or how would you summarize a season that was going from 2016 to 2017? It was a long stretch. Many people didn't feel like there was going to be an opportunity for success early on. Many people thought that just getting to the postseason was going to be a stretch. Our prediction was they were going to get in just on the final day of the postseason and have an early exit in the first round. We thought that the Red Wings were going to claw and scratch their way and get in at the very last day of the season like they did in the past few seasons, but it just didn't work out. They never really got off the ground.
A word, I don't have a good word for it. I wish I could come up with some eloquent word to give this season, but really I would call it a death march.
Really? Death march?
Because this
is a little dramatic, no? Death march?
It is dramatic. It's the first season in 25 years that we haven't been in the playoffs. It's been a slow, like this. It's been work watching the Red Wings this season. You shouldn't have to force yourself to turn on a hockey game. You should want to tune into these games. And I think it's really been slowly just a death march that we have any injuries. The Mrazek isn't improving. Jimmy Howard is coming up from the depths and actually being good and throwing a wrench into everything that we'd actually want on this team. I'd compare it. I'm not sure. Have you seen the movie Logan yet?
Mm-hmm.
So I see the Red Wings similar to Logan and Wolverine. And, you know, I'll put a spoiler alert out there for any of our listeners who actually want to go see Logan. So spoiler alert, in the movie Logan, he's old and he is one of the most beloved characters in that universe. And it's just, it's his end game. It's his end story. You know, it's him leading up and he's passing the torch on to the next generation. And I really see this season as that, as what that is that it's passing on the torch to Mantha, Larkin, Athanasiou, all those guys. At least that's what it should be. If it's not, then I just talked about that for 2 minutes and I look like a big fat dummy.
Are you going Sunday versus New Jersey? You going to pony up some money, get into the Joe one last time, engage in all the pomp and circumstance? You going to be part of any of the festivities?
If you want to, get me a press pass, I'll go. But I'm not paying money. I did. That was as a kid. That was like the most expensive ticket to get in town. So I didn't get to go to a lot of Red Wings games. So I'm lucky that I got to go to the Joe Louis games that I did. I got to experience some really good times. I think I saw Nick Lidstrom's first game as a captain when they made him that. I saw a couple playoff wins over the Predators, and I want to remember my Red Wings as a great team.
That's the best way to put it. My favorite memory, obviously, is the Cups. I didn't go to a whole heck of a lot of hockey games. I basically started going maybe just 5 years ago. I was always watched from afar. I'm a fan of watching the Wings on TV at home. But the Joe Louis Arena has a nice vibe when they score. They play well, and it is a sport that once you go and sit in the arena and watch a hockey game, it's very enjoyable. But for me, it just wasn't a sport that I would have gone like 5 times a year to. It was always the Pistons and the Tigers for me, and a handful of Lions games because I was a season ticket holder for the Lions. That's the only team I've invested in and been a season ticket holder for. But for me, when you start budgeting out, it wasn't the Wings. They were the last for me in my priority list. It was always try to get to a couple of Tigers games, a couple Pistons games, And, if you could squeeze a free ticket, you would go to a Lions game in the last 10 years because they just weren't a good football team. So
if it was more accessible, I would have totally gone to a ton more Red Wing games, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and the Joe, obviously, many people will say it is time. The arena's a dump. It smells.
So many people say it's a dump. I think it's a
dump. It smells.
It's a classic arena.
It smells funny.
I think there are some bad seats.
Yeah, there's some rough seats.
I'm very much looking forward to what Little Caesars Arena is going to look like and what that whole in-game experience is going to be like.
Yeah, it'll be nice. Watch it on TV. I think the post-game is going to be an hour long. You're going to have a lot of people sharing memories. They're going to do a video package with some fans writing some stuff and saying some stuff, and it'll close the building out. It's unfortunate that it'll be the actual final game, I believe, of the season for the Wings, I believe, and that'll be it. And it'll be a situation where the Red Wings will close out their season, not in the postseason, and it'll be the end of the Joe Louis Arena. But with, as they say, when one door closes, another one opens. I think the Little Caesars Arena, from what it looks like, is going to be state of the art, very nice, modern, and I'll be sure probably go to a couple games next year, try to finagle some free tickets as well.
Now, I know one of the things people have complained about, people are tired of all the music that they play, all the scoreboard
the
stuff.
Same stuff,
it's very generic. It's you've heard it all along. So I think it's definitely going to be an upgrade at the new stadium. Here's something I want to know what you think about, and I have my own opinion. But Karen Newman has sung the national anthem there forever. I think do they get a new singer, or do you think they
from what I'm sensing,
continue to trot out Karen Newman?
From what I'm sensing, you're saying it's time that they upgrade the national anthem singer for the Red Wings. I'm
so tired of Karen Newman. We see her every single time, and honestly, I don't think she has that great of a voice. She can sing the national anthem, but it's just, I don't know. I'd rather have, seeing what other stadiums do. I like when they have like the big operatic singers, and they take off their jacket and they got the team jersey on. I want to see that. I would take a different singer every single night than having to listen to Karen Newman sing the anthem again.
Oh, okay. No, for me, I say the same thing. It's not for her, not a reflection on her. It's just mix it up. I think she does it exclusively, right? I think she does it every single game. Yeah. And I think it's time to mix it up. Maybe have some young people, some bands, some different type of stuff. Yeah.
Bring out like a choir or a small ensemble from one of the local high schools, something. I think there's so many more opportunities out there, and I know it's a minor thing. It doesn't even have anything to do with the team, but I'm tired. I'm just tired of Karen Newman.
Oh my gosh, so blasphemous. But I can understand that you want to mix it up a little bit and have her maybe do, instead of 41 games, have her do 20 and just add 20 other people.
Like 10 games.
10 games. You want to fire her, huh? You're out with the old, in with the new. And
seriously,
that's just how it goes.
Why not?
That's how it goes. Sports is a finicky business, and with entertainment, you got to mix it up too. And that might add that maybe they will open it up too. But many people do like Karen Newman, so I'll be interested to see the reaction when people hear that you say, "Get rid of Karen Newman."
Get rid of her. I'm done.
Episode 101 in the books. Great podcast, Jason. I look forward to 102 next week. We'll recap, what the festivities were with the Red Wings. We'll see the week that was. It's a big series this weekend versus Boston, and they start out this week versus the White Sox. We'll see how they do in their first handful of games, and we'll be here to definitely break it all down. And I look forward to you coming on time, or at least filling me in on your schedule, Mr. Big Shot, Mr. VIP.
Yeah, I will. I'll try to answer my text a little sooner.
You got it.
And yeah, hopefully we're on a high point on the roller coaster and not falling to our doom.
Everyone, enjoy the week. Enjoy opening day. Stay safe and stay with the Motor City Sports Rant. We'll bring it to you each and every Tuesday on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. See everyone next time.
Peace out.
Okay, nice, idiot. F you. Bye-bye.
Good day, sir. I said good day.
All right, Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Loser.